Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to see how we can implement real-time live location tracking within our apps. We will be using Python, Flask, and JavaScript for this implementation. We are going to use Leaflet JavaScript library. It is an open source free library which is going to provide us all the visual representations of the maps, whether it is pop-ups, markers, path lines, or everything else we are going to need for the maps. It is right there in the Leaflet JavaScript library. So without wasting any time, let's start coding. All right, so before we start coding, let me first of all show you guys what Leaflet library has. Um, you can just go to leaflet.js.com and then you can see all these APIs and all the UI layers that this library provides. Basically, what you have to do for this implementation is that you'll have to go and get the serial links for the CSS files, which is going to create the markers, pop-ups, path lines, and everything else that you're going to need for this implementation. You can get it from here by just importing that CDN links. And we will also need to have some of the very important functions uh, from this library. For example, setting a map, setting a location, and setting the new coordinates or updating the new coordinates. We will have all these inbuilt functions from this library, so you can just go and check out this page and you will be able to get all the required information. I have already retrieved the CDN links and everything, uh, all the other important things from this. So if you don't want to uh, go and check out, it's fine. Okay, so now, without wasting any time, let's get into the coding. We are going to use Python we are going to use Python Flask for this implementation. What we have to do, first of all, we will have to make sure we have all the dependencies installed already in our system. So first of all, just make sure you have Flask. You can just go into your terminal and then you can type in pip install Flask, and then you can have the Flask in your project folder in case if you don't have it. The other commands that you will need to install specifically for this project will be pip install Flask, socket io, and Flask course. Okay, so you need to install these things into your project folder if you want to make it running. Okay, socket io is obviously for the real time communication between the two windows, and course is actually very good because it goes and allows the location from the other specified origins, which is very helpful if you want to make a real time communication. For example, if I'm a user A and I want to see the location, live location of user B, there needs to be some sort of communication between two of them, and this will help you get there. Okay, so I am not going to go and run this command because I've already installed this in my system. But if you don't have, in case, you can just go ahead and do it. Okay, so without any further ado, I'll start coding the app.py first, and then we will go to the JavaScript part. Specifically for this project, app.py is going to be very simple and there will be no complications at all in app.py. um, all the logic is going to reside in the JavaScript. Okay, so first of all, let's import all the required libraries. Flask render template. Render template is to just retrieve the web page from the templates folder. Flask socket io, import socket io, and then emit. Okay, emit is just to update and broadcast the real-time locations from Flask course, as I already said, to make sure it allows all the origins to access the to make the request to our API. Okay, then we have initialized our app, and the next thing we will do is we will go on and enable the course for our app. Okay, and go and enable the course for our app. So CORS app, it's that simple. And then the next thing we're going to do is we will need to enable course for socket io, and it's just a test, it's just for testing purposes. So in this we are allowing all the origins to make a request, but in real world scenario you will have to restrict this uh, to the specified people who will make the request to your application. Okay, and this is going to be allowed origins course allowed origins is equals to this. So just this blank space, that basically means everybody is uh, allowed to do it. Okay, and then we will need to define our home route. Okay, and home route is going to look something like this. It is going to be very simple. It's just going to go and retrieve the index.html that we're going to go and create. Okay, index.html. um Oh, I think I forgot the braces here. Okay, perfect. That was just a very silly mistake. The next, yep, so next thing we're going to do is to handle the socket.io events. Okay, so socket.io dot on location, and then inside that we will define this handle location function. We're going to pass the data as the arguments, and then it is just basically going to emit update data broadcast is equals to true. Okay, so this block is going to define a socket.io event listener for the location event. So whenever a client is going to send a location event with the data, for example, latitude and longitude, the handle location function is going to be called every time, and the emit function is going to broadcast the update event along with the location data to all the connected clients using broadcast is equals to true. So for example, let's say if I am here at point A, uh, what JavaScript is going to do, it is going to send the data to the backend. Uh, and when what I mean by data is the latitude and longitude, it is going to retrieve those coordinates. And for example, I have moved from point A to point B. That means my coordinates have changed. So what do I need to do? I will have to pass those new coordinates to the backend. I will have to send those new coordinates, and that is going to handle us. That is going to handle it using handle location function. Okay, so it's that simple. And once everything else is done, we will just run our application, and that is going to be like this: socket io dot run app debug equals to true. Okay, yeah, so that was it. This was our app.py. So what basically we have done, we have just imported all of our necessary libraries, and we have created one home API, home route, and after that we have created socket IO event handler, which is going to handle the location update for us. Okay, so that was everything for app.py, and now the main thing that we will need to implement is the JavaScript. If you will pay attention to the JavaScript part, then everything else is just so very easy, specifically in this implementation. So let's go implement this JavaScript part. Okay, so as you can see, I have already defined our headers and everything that we will need. I have retrieved the cd and links from Leaflet JavaScript library from the website, so you can just go and copy this in your code. And with that said, just start coding the JavaScript. So inside our JavaScript, the very first thing we will need to do is to initialize a map variable, and we need to attach that map variable to this div element. Okay, So where map is equal to l dot map, and then we will attach it to the div, and then we will set it to 002. Okay, sorry, I was just okay. This needs to be go inside the script. Yeah, here. Okay, so this is how we have initialized our map variable. So what do we mean by the 0, 0 and 2? This is just a global view of map. So when you are going to run the program, it is just going to it is just going to show you the global view of the map, which is going to be the equator or the central part of the map, and 2 represents the zoom level. You can adjust it however you want, but I have just included the default settings here to initialize the map variable. Okay, so next thing we'll need to do is to attach a tile. So first of all, what is tile? So tile is going to be those small parts of the map that we will need to have in our entire visual, because when we import the map from Leaflet JavaScript library, it is just a map. We don't know which location is which. There is no labels or anything attached to it. We just know the coordinates, and we will have the map as a visual. But we will also need to attach a tile so that we can know, okay, this point represents this address, this point represents this city, and all the other stuffs related to that. So that is why we will need to attach a tile to it. There are lots of resources available to add a tile. You can get it from Google Maps API or any other resources, but I have found one open source resource which is free, and you will not need to pay anything for it. So there is a API called OpenStreetMap, and it's a very good one because I have found it very accurate. So you can probably use that. Okay, so we have initialized the map by linking it to the div with the id map. Okay, so next thing we will need to do is we will need to define all of our variables that we're going to need for location tracking. So which variables you are going to need? Marker, which is going to pinpoint your location. Path line, which is going to show the path between 2 points. And path coordinates. Path coordinates is going to be the array where we are going to store our coordinates. Inside our array, we will just store latitude and longitude, so it is just a 2D array. Okay, so these three variables that we're going to need. So let's initialize that, where marker is equals to null, path line is equals to also null, and then path coordinates, which is going to store our latitude and longitude. Okay, so now as we have everything defined and everything initialized, it is a time to uh, write a function which is going to update the location. So we will just name it as update location. We will pass the position of a user as a parameter, and inside that, the very first thing we will need to do is we will need to extract the latitude and longitude from the leaflet library. So we are going to define this variable called lat, which is going to go and extract the latitude for our position, and then longitude is also going to do the same thing. It is going to go and it is going to extract the longitude for our position. So once we will have those coordinates, uh, let's also add a console.log statement so that we can go and verify uh, within our website to see if the coordinates are actually updating or not. Okay, so now we have initialized latitude and longitude. The next thing we will need to do is we will need to make sure how we will need to make sure we handle our markers really well, because we have two scenarios here. Okay, so for example, you had the application closed. That means marker was not created, marker was not initialized. When you are going to open the application is going to create a new marker for you, and it is going to set that marker on that latitude and longitude that your position is going to extract. But if you have the app already opened, and if you are, let's say, moving it to the next point, if you are moving from point A to point B, there is no point to create a marker again. So that we will need to make sure that whenever we are creating a marker, first of all we'll have to check if the marker already exists or not. If it already exists, we are not going to go and create one more marker. We will just go and update the coordinates on that marker. Okay, so first of all, we'll write a if statement here which will check if the marker exists or not. Okay, if marker does not exist, then we will do marker is equals to l dot marker. It is going to go and create the marker to that latitude and longitude that we have extracted from position. Then we need to attach a pop-up or attach a text to that marker, which will show that you are here. Like it will just a text that is going to represent the marker. Okay, so we can do it by using bind pop-up. You are here, and then open pop-up is going to be called. Okay, this is just going to go and initialize the marker, and just going to go and attach the coordinates to the map. That's it. Okay, and then we also need to set up our view to that coordinates, because when we will load the application, the focus is just going to be in the center of the map. But when we have actually retrieved the location of user, we will need to get the focused and zoomed vision of where the location of user is. And that we can implement using map.setView, and it is going to focus and zoom on the marker. Okay, and in case if the marker already exists, then you don't have to go and create a new marker. You just have to go and update the marker's position. Okay, and that you can do using set lat lang function, and that is going to just update the coordinates to that marker. Okay, and there is one last thing we need to add here. We will still need to update and create the path line. So what do I mean by path line? Path line is going to represent the path between 2 points, point A and point B. So here we are just going to check if path line already exists or not, same in the same way as we did with the marker. We are going to check if path line exists. Then we will just need to create the path line by updating the coordinates, and if it doesn't exist, then we will have to go and create the new path line. Okay, so uh, if path line does not exist, then if path line does not exist, then we will go and create a new line by passing our path coordinates array. We will set up the color as blue, because that is the most ideal color in the GPS services when they are representing the path. And after that, we will just need to add it into our map development. Okay, and in case if it already exists, then we are going to do the same thing that we did with marker. We will just update the coordinates according update the coordinates according to the new position. Coordinates. Okay. Okay. Similarly, it creates or updates a path line to draw the movement trail. Okay. Um, this was our update location function. After update location function, we will just need to create a function which is going to handle all the errors for us, uh, and that will be defined as handle location errors. We will need to pass the error argument. It is just going to write down what the error is in our console, in our browser console. Okay, error dot message. Okay, yeah, and then we just need to put the semicolon here. Okay, and if we want, we can also put an alert which will just say unable to fetch the location. Okay, that's everything. Yeah. Now as everything is set up, now we will need to watch the position of a user, and that we can do it using navigator.geolocation API. So very first thing, we'll need to check if it is supported by the browser or not. uh, and if it does, if the navigator.geolocation API is supported, then we will need to define the watch position function, which is just going to basically update the location of user in real time. As the user will make a movement, it is just going to update the position and update the position, update the marker, update the path line, and everything else that we have discussed. Okay, and the we will have to make sure that we are enabling the highest accuracy of our GPS services, of our GPS signals. Just keep one thing in the mind, is that when we are keeping our GPS signals accuracy to the highest, the amount of resources, the amount of computational resources that is going to be used per application is going to be more. So that could maybe slow down your system. So just keep this in your mind. Okay, and then we will just have to keep the maximum age as 0. This just means that it avoids using the cached data. Whatever is stored in the browser cache, it is just going to ignore it and ignore it, and it is going to acknowledge the latest data that was gotten. Okay, so that was everything for the code. Now we have the required JavaScript code and required app.py code implemented into our project folder. So now we'll just have to go and run this project. Okay, so for that, I have already run our project using Python app.py, and if you can see, it is looking something like this. It is actually, now I have run my program using app.py, and as you can see, it is showing me my current location, which says you are here. So this is the pop-up, and this is the marker, and this is the pop-up that we created with the text you are here. It represents where I am right now, and if you have a look at the live coordinates here at the browser console, it is showing me my current coordinates. This 10 represents that it is consistently updating, it is consistently trying to update the coordinates, but as I'm not moving, it is just going to be the same. Now let me try to get out of my room, or maybe if I'll get out of the if I'll get out of my apartment building, it is actually going to show me the path line between the current position and the previous position. So that is going to look something like this. I have moved out of my apartment building, and if you can see, it is showing the path line that I have covered between my previous and the current location. So this represents the path, and this is showing me the coordinates that have been updated from my previous location. So that was everything for this video, and this is how you can implement live location tracking within your websites and web applications. So if you have found this implementation useful, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.